Good morning, children. Welcome back to the English online class of Sri Gokulam Public School, Guruvayur. I hope all my dear children are very safe and happy at home. So be at home and be safe. Let's move to our today's session. Today we will discuss a new poem, the third poem in your honeysuckle text. The poem named The Coral, composed by Eleanor Fergion. Eleanor Fergion is an English author of children's stories. She had written plays, poetry, and also attempted other literary genres. She was born in London into an artistic family. Her father was a novelist and her grandfather was an American actor. Her family home is an artistic or literary hub. Her notable work is Morning Has Broken. So I think you had enough knowledge about our poetess Eleanor Fergion. So let's move to our poem, The Coral. Before going to the explanation of the poem, let me recite the poem first. The coral. It is common for brothers and sisters to quarrel, although sometimes they may not even be able to say why they quarrel. But how long do such quarrels last? How do they end? I quarrel with my brother. I don't know what about. One thing led to another, and somehow we fell out. The start of it was slight. The end of it was strong. He said he was right. I knew he was wrong. We hated one another. The afternoon turned black. Then suddenly my brother thumped me on my back and said, "Oh, come along. We can't go on all night. I was in the wrong." So he was in the right. Composed by Eleanor Fergion. So, what do you mean by the word coral? You know, it is a common word which happens in all our homes. Quarrel, it means fight, or it is a clash. Clash of what? Clash of opinions. If you have, or if you don't agree with what the other person say, then it ends up in quarrel. You know, we all have different opinions or ideas. Ideas or opinions, it differ from one person to another. So it's quite natural that we have different opinions and we may not agree with other persons. If you don't agree, that conversation might end up in a quarrel. So when there arises any disagreements or arguments, it ends up in quarrel. So this poem, it is about how our poetess Eleanor Fergion quarrels with her brother, how they started it and how they ended it. It is a description about her quarrel with her brother. Even we all have quarrels in our homes. We might quarrel with our siblings, with our brothers or sisters. So as our poetess said, it is a common thing or a natural thing to have fight or clash with our siblings. We may not agree with our brothers or sisters and it may end up in quarrels. So look at the first lines. In the first 4 lines she says that one day our poetess, she had a quarrel with her brother. And she is not able to recollect how they started the quarrel or what was the reason behind the quarrel. She is not able to recollect or remember because one argument, it led to another argument. Then that argument led to another. Then another. It went on. The arguments, it went on. Both have disagreements. And finally what happened? All these arguments or disagreements, it ended up in a quarrel. They fell out means they fell out or they landed up in a quarrel. They are not having friendly talks again. So the poetess says that the cause of their quarrel or the reason behind their quarrel, it was a very silly reason, or it was a minor issue, not at all serious. The quarrel, it started with a minor issue, with a slight reason. But how did it end up? It ended up in violence. It ended in strong or fierce manner. The poetess say that their quarrel, it started with a petty reason, with a silly reason. But how did they end up the quarrel or their arguments? It ended up in violence. It was very strong or fierce. So that is how they ended up their quarrel. And what happened? Come to the second stanza. They hated each other. They disliked each other. And the afternoon it turned black. The afternoon turned black means the afternoon which was so bright and beautiful, now it has turned black. Black means it has become so dull or gloomy. All the fun is lost. Siblings, you know that they'll have lots of fun. All the joys, all the happiness, all the fun were lost. There were extreme silence in the home. They were very silent. So that is why it is referred to as dark. Then the poetess says that as she was sitting silent in her room, as they don't want to see each other's face again, they were in separate rooms. So when she was sitting sadly in her room, what happened? Her brother approached her. Her brother came to her, and what did he do? He thumbed on her back. Thumb means he patted on her back, saying that I has did the mistake. I did the wrong thing. I accept my mistake, or I admit my mistake. What I said or what I did is wrong. Please forgive me, my sister. What I did is wrong. I accept it now. And this is how he tried to reconcile their issue or their quarrel. Now the poetess says that now her brother is in the right path. The decision he took now is the right one. He has taken a right decision. Now he is in the right path. As he realized his mistake, he is in the right path. So both the brother and sister, they patched up their quarrel and they are happy now. That is the bond between the siblings, that love and warmth. It will last. It will not let the quarrel prolong. As her brother says that we should not prolong this for the night. We have to end up here. So it is how the siblings, they ended their quarrel. So here ends our poem. So children, what is the moral that you receive from this poem? Even though your siblings had quarrel with each other, what do you have to do? It might be for a silly reason. So what do you have to do? You have to end up that first. One or the other person has to take the initiative to end the quarrel. Just like the brother of the poetess. He took up the initiative to end up the quarrel. Similarly, you also have to take up the initiative to end the quarrel. We should not prolong it for a longer time. We have to end up it as soon as possible. So I hope you understood the poem. So read the poem carefully. Learn the notes that is attached. Watch the animation video also. So that's all for today, children. Let's wind up the session. See you in the next class.